What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Monday night, right? I believe it's Monday. It definitely felt like a Monday. November 20th, 2023. Turn off the bells there so I don't interrupt the update. About 10:04 p.m. here on this Monday night. The latest activity looks like a 1.6 into the region of western Texas. Did see a little bit of movement up into the Gulf of Alaska and across other areas of the globe. But first, want to cover the activity in the Iceland region first. Now, this is, let me pull up the last earthquake map here. Make sure I got the most recent, which I do. I have this set here for 1 hour time frame. So there's not a whole lot that has happened here as far as earthquake activity goes there in the last hour around the Iceland area. And the last 6 hours or so will bring that up a little bit. Looks like it's only showing here roughly about 12 earthquakes or so. Let's go back here and see. Well, I guess, yeah, only looks like about 12. I guess that's right. Let me go back here. I'm kind of messing this all up. Man, that doesn't seem right, does it? 12 hours? It's possible we could be getting a little decline in earthquake activity. I don't know. There we go. 60, what do we got? 65 hours or so. I don't know, like how that comes in like that. We do have a 2.9 coming in outside the area. Pretty recent, it looks like. That's much further down south of the Iceland area, but it looks like that may still be along the fault system out there. But far as local seismic activity goes here across the Grindavik area of Iceland, to me it looks like it's toning down slightly. The latest informational statement that was put out from the Iceland Met Office. Let me go back over here and check this out real quick. They mentioned that the likelihood of a volcanic eruption continues with considerable uplift here across the Svartsengi area. That is around the power plant and the Blue Lagoon area, that little tourist spot up there where, you know, people bathe in the very comfortable waters up there. Of course, it's all heated and whatnot from the surface or from the heated areas below. But this is actually a pretty decent amount of uplift here in a 1 to 2 day span, it looks like, over 30 mm. Now, there's a little talk that they don't believe the eruption is going to take place specifically around this area. They believe it's more so down around the Hagafell area. They said that if, these guys are saying basically if things pick up in terms of earthquake activity around this region, then maybe potentially we could be looking at eruption around this area of the power plant. But they're stating that the crust over there, Earth's crust over the region there where we're seeing that uptick is thicker compared to the crust around the magma intrusion area, which is roughly the Grindavik area northeastward, right there where you can see all that activity in the last 12 hours. I'm not seeing any type of migration over there, but we're definitely getting quite a bit of swelling, underground inflation going on across that area. Now, here's a little map that these folks put out today, the 20th, and it is in Icelandic language there, but I managed to pull up a little translation, and this is going to be Area A out here in the orange. Now, they're not really too concerned about the eruption around this area. They're more concerned with hazards in terms of ground shaking and the earthquake activity in general. Can see some larger earthquake activity around this area. B. Now, B is the main area here where they believe the magma intrusion has taken place. And that has the potential of a crack opening as far as the fissure goes without warning. There is the potential, of course, for SO2 emissions and other volcanic gases opening up here in this red area. And that, of course, includes the area around the Grindavik. Seen quite a few photos there over the last couple days of all sorts of deformities there and damage to roads and whatnot due to the ground swelling and then deflating. that can't be good on the infrastructure at all. So hopefully this volcanic eruption, when it does take place, will be a little bit further up north. And this is where Group C comes in, at least this area C, near the Hagafell area of Iceland. They've mentioned it quite a few times here that this is where they believe that the fissure opening, potential fissure opening, and of course the eruption phase could take place here. Now, that's somewhat close here to the Grindavik area, but that's it's a little bit better than completely opening up here across this area. So a little bit further north, the better. Of course, you have to worry about volcanic gases and whatnot out there as well. Now, of course, everyone's been evacuated. This is just a little hazard map that they put out earlier today. And, of course, here is a very simple drawing of the rift zone out here with Iceland included. The area of interest right now, of course, is down here across the Reykjanes Peninsula area where the Grindavik area of Iceland is. And you can see that rift zone there. Basically, this whole area is a divergent boundary separation of the oceanic crust. And kind of growing out here. Eventually, Iceland could grow in size, you know, in the future, in terms of plate dynamics, that is. But we got the North American plate moving to the west and the Eurasia plate moving off to the east. What comes up through the surface? Well, obviously magma that fills in nice and slow and creates new land out there while the continents there continue to drift apart. And that is the very simple drawing. Here's a little bit more defined areas. Shows the type of basalt that's out here in terms of magma and lava and the rock that's out here. But this is basically the same as the other, but a little bit more informational, I guess, in the type of rocks that are out here. But you know, it is getting active for sure out there, and this swelling that's going on there across the area is definitely of concern. We'll continue to watch that. Like these guys say, if for example there's a further intrusion, a large inflow of magma into the area, we would have to watch areas across the near that power station in the Blue Lagoon for some further earthquake activity in terms of maybe looking at the potential eruption in this area. But they basically saying that the region right here has a more likelihood than this area of the power station and the Blue Lagoon. It's kind of in there, though. You really think about it, it's definitely nearby, but they're doing everything they can to potentially build up a little barrier just in case magma breaks out here in this region and attempts to flow over towards that area. Hopefully they can save that. So we'll continue to watch that, folks, and of course report back on any major changes. Now, here's a look at the earthquake activity over the last couple days or so. Definitely looks like things are calming down slightly here. Notice that only a couple earthquakes showing up here, at least on this map, in the last 0 to 4 hours. So I do have that up on the live stream, far as the area of Iceland, but I have it set. I think for like 1 hour. So and I think magnitude's 1.0 and above. So you're not going to see a lot on here unless things really kick up on the live stream. So if it looks blank, that is the reason why. All right, let's look at other earthquake activity. Going to start off here where, well, there's not a whole lot of severe potential out here in terms of any earthquakes forming. Still seeing quite a bit of movement here. For the most part, though, around Kilauea Volcano. This has been off and on. Let's check out the volcano hazard map here right now and see what's going on across the Kilauea Volcano, and see if we got any further inflation activity stirring up here across this area. Definitely past 2 days here, pretty level uptick here of inflation on that chart, on this graph, and it looks as though maybe we're starting to climb up and maybe potentially match this previous cycle here of inflation. Unless we see something major spike off like that. But it's hard to say what it's going to do. All I know is I've been watching these little trends here. There's a good 4 to 5 days of inflation, followed up by at least 2 days of deflation, and then it repeats the cycle here, and that's pretty crazy. We haven't seen a breakthrough yet in terms of any fissures opening up there across the Hawaii area, or the Big Island, or around the Kilauea volcano, and earthquake activity is still just coming and going. Let's see if I can bring up a seismograph station here in this area around the summit region. This looks like magma fluid movement in a way. It definitely does. That's what you see at a volcano that's active. That was earlier late last night, earlier this morning, but it looks like things have died off here pretty nicely in terms of this type of signature on the graph. Definitely looks like some type of fluid movement there underneath the summit region earlier this morning and late last night. All right, backing out of here, backing out. See what we got for New Zealand down here. Doesn't look too active. Looks like a 3-pointer there outside the Wellington area. We'll go ahead and jump in real quick, see what's going on there. To the fine folks down in New Zealand, we'll check out the GeoNet servers. Looks like 7 hours ago, 3.6 coming in to the area just outside of the Wellington region. North Island was felt by a few folks, it looks like. Not a huge amount, 13 reports, but some light shaking being observed from that little earthquake about 7 hours or so ago. Again, North Island, New Zealand area. Quick glance at the earthquake drums, see if we need to dig into anything in more depth. It doesn't look like it. There's some of that smaller earthquake activity in the 3 range. Not seeing any major swarming activity. A little bit of movement there, South Island recently, in the last couple hours it looks like, but that's a very small earthquake. And, well, looks kind of quiet. All right, let's go ahead and move into the Pacific Northwest here. What do we got out here across Mount Adams? Wouldn't that be something if all these volcanoes start really stirring up? It's actually been kind of interesting to watch here. Mount St. Helens seeing a lot of earthquake activity. Mount Rainier as well. Now we got Mount Adams out here showing a little earthquake activity. 2.8 kilometers below the surface at that volcano. Goodness. All right, let me go check here real quick. We're going to check out the volcanic seismograph stations there. By the way, Trimmer, only 7 epicenters here outside of Medford, underneath Medford, I should say. Mount Adams. There's that little earthquake here. Looks like that is just on the western flank there of that volcano. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of seismograph stations up here. I remember them talking about potentially getting some more in here, but as far as these data stations go, I don't even know if this one works, to be honest. Let's see here. Give it a second. Wow, that's a little crazy looking. Hard to tell if there's anything going on there with that type of clutter. Could this be it right here? Let's see. When did that earthquake strike here? 11:20. So that was roughly about 12 hours or so ago. I don't think that is it. 12 hours or so ago would definitely be well, not on that page, but it'd be somewhere around here. I don't know. I don't really see it. And there's not a whole lot of like I say, monitoring stations for that area. Let me see if there's anything up over here. Beautiful volcano, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, there's, like I say, there's not a lot. It looks like maybe one way out here, but what does that one doesn't even work. That one's offline as well, so technically, what can we do? We can't really do anything except for take their word for it that there's only one little earthquake occurring there. All right, so let's go check out Mount St. Helens, see what's going on over here across the area. And of course, this is a little different story. We've seen quite a bit of earthquake activity here in the last couple months. The folks there says that this is technically background level activity. So these swarms come and go, according to these folks here. No elevated other volcanic activity as far as the gas emissions and whatnot goes. This is actually a really nice seismograph station here as far as being able to see some of the smaller quakes. Looks like there may have been a couple here in the last few hours. A look at the previous UTC time. That's going to be this one right here, one of the larger ones in that. I bet you it's that one right. Well, that shows a 0.1. That kind of looks a little bit bigger than a 0.1 though. All right. But there's not a lot of earthquake activity taking place there today. Obviously, they're on the map. Mount Rainier, another one that's been showing a little bit of earthquake activity. But out of all these volcanoes, the Mount St. Helens volcano has shown the most seismic activity. There's been a little bit out here. Look how well monitored this volcano is. Seismograph stations galore across this area. Let's see here. There's a little spike of one in this one. I bet you that's that most recent quake. And a handful, well, maybe a couple smaller ones as well over the last 24, 30 hours or so. But no major swarming. I do like to check those on occasion because, well, you never know. I mean, things could definitely rapidly kick up. So, yeah, all right. Let's go ahead and move on. Yellowstone National Park. Looks like some earlier earthquake activity. Let's go ahead and zoom in over here to the Yellowstone thumbnails. This is the overview. Little spike of some activity here in the last couple hours. Notice these very fine spikes. Those are indeed very little earthquakes, but for the most part, that movement was this morning. It looks like when we had that 2.2 well early this morning. But since then, not a whole lot of activity stirring up. All right, Northern California. Well, a handful of earthquakes, it looks like, including a 2.0. It shows a rust fault zone. But 16 kilometers deep tells me that it's associated with the Cascadia subduction zone. This is not a surface earthquake. This is down into the subduction zone itself at that depth. Looks like there was one previous as well. Some general movement here outside of Long Valley Supervolcano near Mammoth Lakes. Not a whole lot of activity, just a handful of earthquakes there. And Southern California, well, this has been our quiet zone. If you really think about it, we really haven't seen any activity. Look at the 7 days, 2.5 and above. Nothing really going on here specifically across this area of the plate boundary. That's kind of crazy. Last 30 days, 2.5 and above. This is still pretty spotty. We did see a little bit of activity here north of LA. One earthquake on the San Andreas Fault itself back in late October, but I don't know. It's been awfully quiet here. Normally we would at least have something to talk about, some type of swarm or some type of movement there in Southern Cal, but it's just been awfully quiet. Texas, been rocking and rolling like crazy. If we look at the last 30 days of earthquake activity out here, just in this area alone, we're looking at 650 earthquakes. That sounds like a lot, right? That is a lot. And the majority, you guessed it, are out here across these oil fields. Way out here in oil field country, wastewater disposal facility land out here in western Texas. Those are those little ponds out here. A lot of money out there. Big time money. All right, what else we got? One earthquake out here in the Atlantic Ocean. We'll have to keep an eye on Iceland. A lot of times when we see divergent zones out here showing a lot of movement in the Atlantic Ocean, we need to watch other areas. Potentially, it could be up north, it could be down south. But it does look like we're getting a little bit of movement here in the central mid-Atlantic ridge. But keep an eye up here. That's where all the activity is kind of stirring up right now. And we'll just watch that, right? That's all we can do right now. Can't really make any 100% predictions on that. Couple fours down there in the Chile area over the last 24 hours. Movement here in the Philippines. Looks like they did have a 5.2 here earlier this morning. Latest one, though, 4.5. Or 4.4, excuse me. Pretty deep. 221 kilometers there into the portion of the Philippine Trench. What do we got here? New Zealand just kicking up one right now. Well, north of there, 3.4 showing up. That does look like it's on the southern end of the Kermadec Trench. Kind of quiet out here today in the Fiji and Tonga region. It won't stay that quiet for long, though, I guarantee you. Movement across the Indonesia area, clustering going on, with a little migration across the area of the Java Trench. You can see right here across Sumatra, a little line feature. I was waiting on some larger scale movement here, but it just hasn't taken place. But we are seeing that a little bit of migration in earthquake, in smaller earthquake terms, across that plate boundary. Let's see, 4.0 up into the Italy area, looks like. What do we got there, 3.8? Did that just come in? Or has that been there? When did this one come up? That was at 9:14, so roughly about an hour ago. Did I miss that? Or was that up here? Oh, it's a little bit further down here. These guys reporting it at 2.9. So, again, since then, it looks like a little bit of activity stirring up in the last... I have the last 1 hour here. I don't know why it does that. It likes to go all over the place. But when you see the... looks like a recent earthquake right now, little 0.4, way up north of this area. The area of concern right now, of course, is around the Grindavik area. Grindavik. But on the live stream here, when you're looking at live stream, I have this section pulled up here on the map. So if you see nothing, that means that there has been no earthquakes in the last hour. I think I have it set for M0 and above in the last hour, specifically around this area. So that map will update itself. It's kind of cool. I think it's important to keep an eye on the amount of earthquake activity. And what do we got? A little 0.5 coming up right now. So definitely looks like maybe things may be picking up out here. All right, we'll just keep an eye on that area. Space weather activity. What's going on with that? This is another hot topic right now. I think we're going to be pretty busy here in the coming days as we look at a huge group of sunspots. I am not even joking, man. That is ginormous. I don't use that word too often, but there's quite a bit of sunspots out here in a large portion of this, well, taking up a good quarter of the sun. Well, maybe not a quarter. All right, I'm overblowing it slightly, but it looks pretty big. A lot of different cores within this area, and there is at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 named cores in this area. When was the last time you guys seen something like this? Right? I haven't seen it this year. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out in terms of the potential, look at this over here, for flaring. Right now, 90% or 99% chance for a sea flare. Obviously, the SFI has been raised pretty drastically because of all this sunspot activity that's currently facing the Earth. 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 40% chance, X flare around 5%, and no major coronal holes facing us. We're not looking at any major expected aurora events, but goodness, that is just pretty crazy. I may have to break out my solar lens tomorrow and see if I can't get a couple close-up shots of this. I'm supposed to have clear skies tomorrow, so that would be perfect. That would be awesome to see. This whole region out here right now, the whole eastern area of the sun is definitely very active. Look at all these sunspots. Holy smokes. All right, so, and that's just one area we have to keep an eye on. There's also this sunspot region down here that's got a lot of intermixing of the magnetic cores that we're going to have to keep a close eye on. Got a couple new developing sunspots here. It looks like the sun really wants to get going. This would be interesting here watching this throughout the week. All right, what else we got? Numerical models here. Of course, got some severe weather down there in portions of the south. I did see Is this the one I want? It's not the one I want. I did see quite a bit of tornado warnings come into effect there. Let's see what we got for storm prediction reports. This is for today. 5 tornado reports. These look like these are confirmed from the National Weather Service. Wind reports of 21. Hail reports, large hail, 3. So 5 tornado reports out there. As you can see in Mississippi and Louisiana. So they'll probably be out there checking out the damage tomorrow, first thing. Hopefully everyone was safe out there. But that severe weather threat was no joke. Still continuing overnight, it looks like here. Yeah, overnight potential severe weather as well down into the same region. We do have a looks like a 10% chance of tornado probability taking place there. A little bit later tomorrow, it looks like that weather will shift to the east and bring some slight risk category potential there across Alabama and maybe portions of Georgia. After that, well, looks like it wants to linger around a little bit out there, but hopefully that calms down a little bit. Severe weather in the end of November is pretty crazy, but it is an El Nino pattern, right? So that means wetter conditions here across the South and California, and we're going to get there. But right now we are underneath the influence here of a massive high-pressure system. I hate that. I absolutely despise the high pressure. This. Look at that. Oh, goodness. I do not like that. That's horrible. So this week, Thanksgiving week here, is going to be quite warm. I mean, I guess we're going to be a little bit above average out here across the West Coast. Some models here now showing, well, this is on Thanksgiving. Looks like maybe the day after Thanksgiving or so. Got some cooling going on across the West Coast, but that's just one weather model. I've seen people showing a big freeze going on for Thanksgiving, but I am not seeing it. Let me see here. So here's roughly around Thanksgiving or so. It looks like maybe into Friday, we got some colder temperatures below average coming into the portions of, looks like northern plains. It might dip down in Oklahoma as well. But for the most part, for Thanksgiving, you know, it's kind of a mixed bag. Good center of the portion of the country out here showing some above average temperatures. Cooler temperatures down south a little bit and a big freeze up north, but I don't know if that's going to come into, it looks like maybe towards the end of the week and the weekend, yes. But I've seen a lot of, ooh, look at that. That's a pretty nice cold pattern coming down straight out of Canada as we head into early next week. Across portions of the northern plains and the Great Lakes area. California cooking out here. Goodness, but I don't think that's going to last for long. We are expected to change here, folks, and dip into a little bit more active pattern. It's just a matter of waiting, and we'll have to just go with the punches here for now. A little bit of troughing going on as we head into the first week of December, so we'll see how it plays out. These things can change in the blink of an eye. Not even joking. Just like last week here when we're expecting a couple inches of rain. One weather model was showing that, and then the next weather model would say that we're not getting anything. So, you know, it's got to take these weather models here with a grain of salt, so to speak, and because these things can change in the blink of an eye. All right, enough yakety yak here. Let me give one more quick glance here at Iceland area. Still showing the latest earthquake right there. Outside of the Grindavik region, this is kind of out into the area of the southern end of the magma intrusion. Remember that magma intrusion line basically kind of swings off into the ocean here and then travels up north northeastward through the Grindavik area into the Hagafell region and so on up here, about 15 kilometers long. So we'll continue to watch that. With this further uplift going on here to the north, good. I'm just starting to wonder how much magma is down there. Obviously, there's a lot, right, in a divergent boundary, but how much is going to be coming up is the question. Definitely have to watch this pretty closely. And, of course, when these guys report back something new, I will definitely jump back in here and provide further updates as well. But for now, stay safe out there. Unfortunately, I don't have an ice. Well, look, it's up. It is up. I was just about ready to say that I don't have an Iceland station up, but it looks like the data is coming back in. So that is an Iceland station there. We were watching that about a week or so ago when things were really kicking up. This thing was very active in earthquake activity, but it looks pretty quiet for now. And as you can see on the map right there, there's not a whole lot coming in currently, but that could change in a blink of an eye. So have a good night, folks. Make sure you guys subscribe while you're here and hit that like button. The like button can be very beneficial to us in the channel, and also getting this information out to the ones that are seeking activity or updates here on the Iceland activity. And hopefully you guys will check back in tomorrow, and have a good night. Tuesday is tomorrow. Take care, folks.